All right, all right. Welcome everyone to another impactful episodes of Stories That Impact. Leaving your comfort zone is a big step, you know. Just moving out of your city sometimes is a big step, let alone going to an unknown country and trying to get a job and settle down is a big one. It is very comforting when you know there is someone who can guide you, hold your hand, and assist you with your journey towards settling in another country and to also help you get your dream job. My today's guest is a very special person. His name is Vinesh Balan, and most of the Australia knows him very well. I when I started my journey back in Jan or Feb and trying to move to Australia, the first person that I could see on LinkedIn everywhere for me was Vinesh. Vinesh with his walks, with his talks on the sessions, and with his the discussions that he has and the posts, I came to know that he's a very influential person. So let me welcome Vinesh. He is a mentor, a coach, and a friend. Vinesh is a software developer by profession, helping migrants and international students. Vinesh lives currently in Melbourne, Australia. Today, before I hand over the mic to Vinesh, today he shares his frustrating journey when he moved to Australia and the struggle of 8 months to get a job. When he got into the job, and unlike others, most of us, he decided that he will step up and he will all the learnings that he did over his 8 months, he's going to share it out. And he founded Job Hunt 2.0 to spread the message on how to job search, organized over 50 events for job seekers. He has done countless sessions, not only in his job events, even in colleges, and helping many students out. He emphasized on the importance of networking. He believes and lives up to his passion, where he wants everyone, every person to get a job and they don't feel alienated when they come to a new country, especially when they are in Australia. So now, without wasting any further time, I would like to get our special guest, Vinesh Balan. Hi, Vinesh.
Hi, Ahmed. That was a very warm and kind introduction. Thank you for that.
You deserve it, my friend. You deserve it. Every bit of
Thank
it.
you. Yeah, thanks. Appreciate that. It's strange to hear someone introducing you. I mean, I've done a lot of interviews and I've been on the other side of things. Let's see how things go when you're on this seat. It looks interesting. Let's see. It's definitely less pressure on me.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely, and true. It's a pleasure because I've seen so many of your interviews, and you inspired so many people. Not just the people whom you have helped personally, but people like me who just listen to the sessions that you used to take. So it's my pleasure. Please start off with sharing your journey.
So my journey, okay. First of all, I was not this person who I am today. 3 years back, I was not this person. I was a typical software developer in India, in Bangalore, you know how software developers are. They just go to office and in the morning, get their work done, come back in the evening. um, I am the best version of myself when I'm hiding behind a screen. Talking to people is not my forte. I don't talk to people. I did not have much of a friend circle. I did not have much of a social life back in India. You go to office, do your work well, come back. That's it. That was my life when I was in Bangalore. Then I think we moved. We decided to me and my partner decided to move to Melbourne in 2017, and we moved in 2018. And if you ask me why, number one reason is probably Bangalore traffic. To those people who know Bangalore, they know what I'm talking about. So let me get it through the process of what I did so that you get an idea of how a migrant moves. Or this is my journey, and I've seen countless of other journeys, and most have a common thread over here. So typically, if you're moving to Australia, you take a PR and you come here. That's the usual step. So it takes about a year, now probably even more, to after you apply PR to getting that PR. Once you get a PR, you have to enter the country within some 3 to 4 months, and that is when reality kicks in, and you decide, hey, you have to do something. And obviously, for job seekers, the first priority is to get a job, nothing else. You don't care if there's a house, if there's relatives, nothing really matters. If you get a job, that's what is important. And I had the same mindset too. We figured, me and my partner tried to see what options do we have. We came across the concept of career coaches. We actually hired a career coach and started taking its services. So people who don't know what a career coach does, they get your resume, LinkedIn, prep you up for the interviews, prep you up for coming to the new country, and whole different thing, right? Basically a mentor for you. And these are expensive. They're very expensive, by the way, but we thought we need that safety net, because that's what matters in the end, right? So we moved to Melbourne in January 2018. I think it was 15th January 2018. And the good news was that my wife managed to start her job in Feb 1st, 2018. So like 2 weeks. That was a good thing. So it's like, okay, at least financially we were settled. And it gave me the feeling like, okay, if she can find a job in a couple of weeks, maybe I take a month longer or a couple of months longer, and it should eventually happen, right? And that is when everything went wrong. It took me 8 months to secure a role. And in these 8 months, I've done whatever. If you're a job seeker watching this, I've done everything that you're doing. Just sitting at home, applying online, watching TV, doing nothing else, waiting for the call, getting frustrated, bitching about recruiters, as in why they are not calling me, or why they can't select me. I have this experience. What the hell do they know? I know what I've done. All sort of things. I've done all of this in those 8 months. I'm, like I said, I'm a very socially awkward person. I did not go for a single coffee catch up or a meetup or anything of that sort in those 8 months. I even refused a invitation from a recruiter to go for a beer on a Friday afternoon. It's like, no, I don't drink. I don't want to come, right? Looking back at it, it was a huge opportunity lost for me. So that's how my 8 months went. And once I got a job, things changed. I saw this side of how things worked or things I did. And I started seeing, hey, if you do something differently, this can happen. And that's what has snowballed into what I do today. I organize a lot of events and try to give you a message of, hey, I understand why you're doing this, but you're in a new country. The culture is completely different. Don't continue doing what you would do back in your country, especially if you're a migrant or an international student. That doesn't work here. And if you just try doing that and feel frustrated and think that Australia is not a country for you, that's your problem. It's not Australia's problem, right? So that's a message that I'm trying to send. The culture here is very different. Don't be obliged or entitled to get respect and get that job because you're starting from scratch over here. No one knows you. You have to prove yourself. You have to be humble. You have to be open. And that's when things actually start going. And Australia, trust me, I've been here 3 years. Everyone says it's a land of opportunities, and it is a land of opportunities. But unless you are ready to open your mind, it won't be. It'll be a land of less opportunities, I'd say. So that's a brief description of my story. Hopefully, we'll go into more details over time.
Of course, of course. Well, that's interesting, and what you said is true in a way. Like I've been in few countries, and I know that when we start to imagine that everything in that new country should happen the way we want, or it's back it at home, conflicts do
Yeah.
occur. Share how, before you move on to the next journey, share how was those 8 months, because I know it's very challenging to express, but share it out. I mean, what exactly happened and what you used to do?
It was, looking back at it, it was horrible. It was tough on me. It was tough on my partner. And it was tough on my family as well, right? What can my family do? My family calls me every day probably and ask, okay, what's the status? I'm like, no status. I'm not getting any calls. Again, what's the status? Nothing, right? So it's very challenging. And sometimes, and the fact that your partner got your job doesn't actually make it easier, because people start thinking, hey, she got a job, why can't you find a job? Right? So it was tough. And I was a person who was not very social. I'm not into sports. If you're into sports, Melbourne is probably the best place to be in. Not into sports. I'm not into fitness. All these are avenues for you to go out, distract yourself. So I was just sitting at home watching TV. Fortunately, my wife got me a PlayStation, which was a good thing, and I spent some time on that. But in the end, it hit my self-esteem in a very, very bad way, because you're not getting calls. You have the experience, you have the skills, but you're not getting calls. Nothing is happening. And whenever an interview call comes, you're on cloud nine, but that comes crashing down probably just the next day. Sometimes you don't get responses. You keep waiting for responses. And the worst experience is not knowing what's happening. You apply for a role, or you get a call from a recruiter, and what next? You don't know. Are you selected? Will the client be calling me? Those levels of that's it's a horrible ride. It's a horrible ride, but it was a horrible ride because I wasn't prepared for it, and I thought I was obliged to get help. I was obliged to get a job, and I was entitled to get a job. I did not fight for it. I just applied. I said, hey, my resume talks for itself. You have to give me a job. Rather than thinking for a fact that they have Australians absolutely have no idea who you are. And if you don't explain who you are, how can they know? When you reach out to recruiters saying, hey, these are my skill set, let me know what works for you. And they are like, hey, this is the role I have. I don't know if you're a fit. And if you don't know if you are a fit, then how can I make out of that? You think, as a job seeker, you think others can figure out who you are. But if you don't know who you are yourself, it's a tough job for others. You can't blame others. So my struggles were because of that, because of the fact that I did not push myself, or I thought that I had the skills and I should get the job. In India, probably it happens. You just put your resume in Naukri and you'd be spammed. In Australia, it doesn't. The market is very different. The market is very small. People are very different. The culture is very different. The job search process is very different. You can't continue hoping that just apply and wait for the call. It may happen one day, but otherwise, mostly it won't happen.
Yeah, no, you that was so very nice piece of wisdom when you mentioned that if you don't know who you are, then how you're going to portray that onto the system. Wow, wow. Now share now what happened. So now you got the job, all right. Now I know this personally, that most of the individuals will not do what you did the next, and we know the inspiring your why now, but then what steps did you take? What happened after that? How did you came to this
So,
job to?
so I think a month before I got a job, I was so frustrated about what was going through me, and I just wanted to vent my frustration somehow. And I thought, I have to do something creative, otherwise I'll lose my mind. So I used to blog maybe some 10 years when I was in college, a long time ago. So I thought, why not just blog? I have a story to share. I'll share, What steps did I take to take a PR? How did I take a PR? What are the steps that I did before I came here? What did I do in the first few days after I came here? And how did I job search? So I started sharing different posts, and I started sharing this on LinkedIn. My first surprise came when a recruiter who I was chasing for about 7 months called me up and said, hey, I saw your post. You're written it really well. I just wanted to have a conversation with you and see, how things are going with you. That was very surprising. He did not have a role. He just wanted to have a conversation with me. And I was like, okay, I've been trying to chase you down for the past 8 months. I've sent you a LinkedIn message. I've sent you a text. I've called you. You have not connected to me. What changed now? And that's when I started realizing, hey, I just did one simple thing, that I shared my story, but that added a lot of visibility. People started commenting on those posts saying, hey, I'm going to take this journey next month, or I am also in your journey. And it started becoming a community kind of feeling, and where you get a feeling that you're not alone. And that gained a lot of attention for some reason. And this was out of my scope because, like I said, I do my best when I talk to a computer, not to humans, right? I did not know how a community works or how society works. And this was very interesting to me to get that attention. And especially when that recruiter called me, I was like, shit, I was doing things wrong in the past 7 months. And this is how you have to actually do it. You have to showcase yourself. You have to sell yourself, which if you're from India, you're not taught to sell yourself. You're talking about yourself is boasting. It's a negative thing here, there. But selling yourself is one of the key skills that you have to have here, right? And that's how I started. That encouraged me to post more on LinkedIn. Like, simple things. Make your LinkedIn profile like this. Add your photo. Add your headline. Write active. Simple things. This is how I started on LinkedIn. Then in December 2018, I wanted to push myself because I know that people are listening to this, but I wanted to see, how else I can impact. And I just put a random post saying, hey, would anyone like to catch up, to just share their stories? And if I can help in any way, I'd do that. And my idea was we'll just go to food court, maybe 4 or 5 people, and we'll just have a coffee and a conversation. That was my idea. 39 people said they're interested in this. And that's when I realized, hey, this is real and this is serious, right? So without thinking too much, because I know if I think too much, I'll get afraid of the whole situation and run away. Within a week, I booked a room. I figured out how to book a room. You can book rooms in library over here. There's a small cost to it, but you can still do it. I booked a room, and I think about 22 people gathered in a room that day. And that's how I started my first meetup. What did I do on that day? I just shared my story. I listened to everyone's complaints, what was happening to them, and I gave my perspective. That's all. And that got massive response. I mean, massive response. And I was like, okay, shit, what? And this is simple. For me, it's simple. I'm just sharing my story, right? I didn't know my story is this powerful. And the realization that your story is unique, your story is powerful. And for me, there are at least 3 people in the beginning of the journey which you took 8 months ago. If you share your story, you can avoid them, or you can make them not do the same mistakes you did. It's as simple as that. That perspective changed everything for me. And that's how I started doing this. And after that, I did that monthly meetup for every month till COVID hit. Then I took a small break. But I think the last one I did a couple of weeks ago was an online one, and it was the 19th meetup. So I do that every month. This is a 3-hour extensive workshop. It's an eye-opener for most migrants who attended it. But the value that it gives, and from me, it's not rocket science. It's just my story. It's just what I've learned, right? That added a whole new level out of it. So that's how I got into this. That's how I started loving to talking to people and getting emotions instead of feedback. When you're a software developer, you code something, you know what the response would be, or you know what the bugs would be. But when you're talking to a human, you have no idea what you're getting back. It could be that they're crying. It could be that they're happy. It could be that you got a smile in them, and that is precious, right? And that is what kept pushing me. And here I am today.
Wow. Wow. Hey, you know what? When you said about your blog, I think that is how came to know about you, because I was in Sweden. I think that was a Jan or something. And since I had my PR, I was moving, and I typed in that, okay, I got my PR,
Mhm.
now what? And your blog, and I still have it on favorites because it explained the details, the steps. And I'm like, all right, this is a gold mine. I just save it now. Whenever I'm ready, I'm
Yeah.
going to look into it. Now I recall when you said that. Perfect. Perfect. And you're absolutely right that stories are powerful. The reason I started this show is because of this, that stories impact, you know and it is so powerful that it can change people's life. Now let me ask you the next follow up thing. So now you got your job, now you got your people, and I've seen those events. At least when I say I've not been into one of those events, but at least I've seen the pictures and the comments. But I've been into your one-on-one discussions that you have with people. So what inspired that, where you gather people to share their story and their journey? So how did you got into
So
that?
one of the crux of my events is, see, I'm not an expert. I just have my story in hand and I learn from other stories, right? So when I started my meetups, what could I possibly do for 3 hours? Not much. That's when I realized that I can use these stories to make up an event. So if you come to my 3 hour workshops that I do every month, it's not about me, it's about you. So out of those 3 hours, 1 hour is dedicated for people to share their stories, as in what are they doing, what are their challenges, and it has multiple effects. One thing is you hear a diverse set of challenges, and I get to address most of that because I've heard all those stories in the past. Second thing is you realize that you're not alone. And sometimes you think that, hey, this guy's situation is way worse than mine. Mine is way better. And you kind of feel good about that. Third thing is you get a chance to talk. And being a migrant, being a person who is new in this country, opening up is hard. Talking to people is hard. And when you get into a room and people are all opening up, they're in a difficult situation and there are people to help you around, it completely changes the dynamics of how that thing goes. So my journey has been always revolving around stories. So I talk to people, I listen to stories, and I make what I can out of it and bring logic out of it. So when COVID happened, I kind of lost that connection because meeting people was key to sharing stories. Yes, a lot of stuff happens online, but it's not very effective in the end, right? And that's when I started a migrant's journey. That's what you're talking about. So I decided, stories are important. I know hundreds of stories, but I haven't documented any of them. I don't have it accessible for you, and that's how I started a migrant's journey. So I think I've done over 40 episodes today. So I've interviewed 40 people and shared their journey. That's it, nothing else. What preparation did you do before coming to Australia? How was the first few weeks like? How was your job search? How did you get a job in the end? What are your advices to people? This is all I cover during these sessions. It's like 20-minute sessions. And if you're interested, by the way, head on to my YouTube channel. You can find all of them. So people who watch that, if you watch at least 20 episodes, you know what you have to do in Australia. But people are so lazy, people don't want to do the hard work in the end. They want instant answers. I don't want to say that, but people like when you're spoon fed. You don't like to hard work, right? But if you I can give you the resources if you're ready to hard work. If you are looking for spoon feeding, I'm not the person. Unfortunately, there are other people who can help you, and they will charge you more, way more than what they have you're ready to spend. But in Australia, and I think this should be a life skill, you have to learn to figure out things. You have to learn to understand things instead of putting the blame on others and hoping that others will help you. Yes, people will help you, but you should know what to ask. You should know how much you can ask. You should know that you have to build trust before you ask. You can't just eat away their time and think that nothing will happen. So that's a life skill that people have to go on board as well.
Absolutely. No, you're absolutely right. People like to be spoon fed. I agree.
Yeah.
All right. Now, Second last thing, before I ask my standard question, please share about what are the things that you're doing. What is vineshbalan.com? What does Vinesh do? How does Vinesh help? And of course, I've put the link vineshbalan.com on the all the platforms. But where all people can connect with you, and what do you offer to help other there? I know there are many more migrants.
So the best way to reach out to me is through LinkedIn. LinkedIn is where I started, and LinkedIn is where I'm most active today. But I have my presence in Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube as well. YouTube has a lot of videos around job seeking. Of course, my website is there if you want to reach out to me or email me as well. So till early this year, whatever I was doing was voluntary. But the problem with that is I was spending a lot of time. It was eating away into a lot of my other activities. And the audience that I'm working with is very transactional. I don't want to talk about this, but I'm putting it out there. It's very transactional. You're talking to me to get a job. And when you get a job, you're cut off. That kind of eats away my emotional health as well. And it drains me a lot. Right. So then I decided, hey, I can't do this. I need to set up something. And that's how vineshbalan.com and me setting up a lot of services happened. So today, primarily, the services that I give is, of course, my link, the posts that I put in LinkedIn, the videos that I share in YouTube, all of them are there. They're free. Feel free to pick up, engage, or whatever you want to do with that. But the services that I provide primarily are one, of course, one-on-one consultation. You can book a 1 hour session with me. There's a cost, of course, and we can talk about resume, LinkedIn, your strategy, what to do, how to do, things like that. The second thing is I'm building a job search community. So that's more of group coaching. See, one-on-one coaching is expensive. I spend an hour with you. I'm spending all my 1 hour with you as an individual when I can help probably 10, 20 people in that time. So when I do that, it's cheaper for you and it makes me more content as well. So that's the reason I'm going to group coaching. So the initiative's name is Job Search Like a Boss. And the challenges that I'm addressing there are whatever I just mentioned. What do you do on a day-to-day basis? How do you handle rejection? You're not alone in this journey. The community is there to help you, support you. And I do webinars in there. I talk about resume, LinkedIn, networking, job search strategy. I bring in external speakers, tons of things. But in the end, it is a hub for you. If you're a job seeker, if you're lost, if you don't know what to do, if you're unsure if this is what I should do, come here and you find answers for everything. And it'll be a constant support. It's not like I talk to you today and I don't talk to you after that. I talk to you on a day-to-day basis so that someone has your back. And that's very important when it comes to job search. Otherwise, you're just lost. You might be successful one day, but it'll be a traumatic experience for your job search. My intention is to make job search fun. Will I get you a job? Probably not. Will I connect you to recruiters? Probably not. But I can guarantee you that your job search will be better and it will be fun. I don't know if it's right to put the word fun to job search, but that is what my intention is, because you can't run away from job search. It is inevitable. Although you think it's a very temporary phase, you consider it as temporary and think, okay, this will finish over in a day, in a week, in a month. It takes a toll on you. It takes a huge toll on you. Do it the right way. Why would you want to just do it the wrong way? Do it the right way. And that's it. For more details, just head on to my website and you can find everything over there.
Sure, absolutely. And you're absolutely right. It is job search is, you need to have fun in what you're doing, because otherwise, you're absolutely right, it will take so much of mental stress that not only you suffer, everyone around you as well. And
Let me
you're
add
so,
one more. Let me add one more point, if that's okay, Amit.
yeah, please.
Yeah. So for job seekers, this is a simple truth for every job seeker out there. You get a job, good. Everything else is bad. You get into an interview, doesn't matter, you didn't get a job. You had a conversation with someone, doesn't matter, you got a job, you didn't get a job. You win a hackathon, doesn't matter, you didn't get a job. You view this episode, you get a lot of information, you're inspired, doesn't matter, I'm not giving you a job. So there are so many negatives stacked up against you. you can't survive. You can't survive job search. You have to celebrate each and every small win. If you're watching this episode, this is a win for you. You have to feel content about it. You can't think that, hey, I didn't give you a job, so this is worthless. No, right? Every small step that you do, if you catch up with, say, if you get a chance to talk to Amit or talk to me, that is a win for you. You don't get a job, but that's a win for you. If you get a call from a recruiter, that's a win for you. If you get into second level of interview, failing at second level of interview is not the point. You got to the second level of interview is the point, right? So you have to celebrate those wins. Otherwise, you won't survive job search. That's it's hard. It's bloody hard.
I agree. I agree. Absolutely. Absolutely true. All right. So we are almost towards the end of the episode. And I have one question. Now, Vinesh has answered this many times, but I still going to ask this. Vinesh, I know you. The question generally is that our story is important. You have already answered it, and could you just elaborate a more that how it helps when people share their stories? Why stories actually impact?
See, everyone thinks, especially if you're a job seeker, that your story is a shameful story, right? Telling your relatives or family that you're job seeking is not a good thing. That's what you think, right? But I am what I am today just because I shared my story, right? It creates the opposite impact. It connects you to people. It makes you humane, actually. It makes you humane. Everyone struggles. When you share that story, one for you on a personal level, people connect to you. People are thankful for you for sharing that story and helping them out. You're just sharing your story, but that is, trust me, you're helping them out. Like I said before, at least 3 people are in the beginning of when you started taking the journey months ago. By sharing your story, you're helping them to not repeat the mistakes that you did. Why would you want them to go through that trouble again? You know it's traumatic. Why would you be selfish and keep it to yourself? I shouldn't use such hard words, but it is selfish if you're not sharing stories. And I have this request to every job seeker out there or every migrant out here. I am just another person who decided to share my story, and here I am today. Every one of you can do this. Just share your story. That's where it starts, right? And it creates a huge impact. I mean, if my story had to reach Amit, who is in Sweden, I like, okay, that's the kind of ripple effect that this can cause. And that's the inspiration that it can give people. And that is the message that it can kind of normalizes. I struggle a lot. I'm socially awkward. I have no problem in saying that. I understand people have problems in admitting their faults. I'm socially awkward. I was never this person. I could never talk to a stranger. I there tons of things that I can't do, but I'm kind of twisting those as my strengths right now. And saying this out loud is making you more connected to me. I'm not driving you away. I'm not feeling shameful that, hey, I shouldn't have said this. What would they think? Instead, I know that you're more connected to me because I said this, right? So, like you said, that's the impact stories can make on people's life. And you might think that it's bad to share your personal story, but if you want to, you can turn it around.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely true. So if a person sitting in Australia can impact somebody in Sweden, yes, that's like across the globe. So
Yeah.
your stories do impact. Fantastic. All right. Thank you, Vinesh, once again for giving me your valuable time and sharing such lovely stories and, inspiring. Of course, you inspire me always, and I'm sure you inspire many, many more, and you keep doing that. All right. So thank you
Thanks,
very
Amit.
much.
I appreciate that. Thanks for inviting me for this session. I mean, it was good to share my story. I mean, I've shared it countless times, but I never get tired of it. The information that I get out of my stories change every time that I share this. Some things I've not thought before, but now that I look at it, it's like, hey, this is a point that I can make in my story, right? So thank you for being a part of this. I'm happy to be a part of this, and share stories. And I love your headline stories that impact, because stories are the crux of everything, right? And yeah, honored to be a part of this.
Great, great. All right. So, thank you to all the viewers from Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube who are watching it live and who are going to watch the recorded session later. So that brings us to the end of the another fantastic episode of Stories That Impact. That was 21st. And if you want to share your story and connect and be a part of my mission to impact millions of lives, please do message me. You can message me on any of the platforms. I'll connect. All the information about Vinesh is in the messages. Please connect with him for any doubts, any concerns, and he will touch base with you. All right. So till then, have a wonderful day, and Vinesh, have a wonderful evening to you, my friend.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate that. And to all our viewers, thanks for watching. Please do spread this message. Comment like crazy, like crazy, share like crazy. What I usually say is the more noise you make, the more people this video reaches out to. So please give us a shout out and share the story. Story just being there doesn't help. You have to share it. So yeah,
Great, great. All right,
bye bye.
Vinesh. Thanks, and have a wonderful day, dear.
Bye.
Bye.